25 incredible things about the Mayans that you certainly didn't know about. In the thickness of the Central American jungle 4,000 years ago, an amazing civilization of advanced men and women who used their embodied brains to build, invent, and think. The ancient Mayans left an invaluable legacy that surpasses their most acclaimed achievements in the fields of architecture, mathematics, and astronomy. An important part of its cultural richness is still unknown to millions of people around the world, but fortunately this is about to change. Historical Clarification has compiled and brings you 25 incredible things about the Mayans that you certainly didn't know about. Before we delve deeper, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date with our updates. Number 1. His writing was primitive but very effective. Although it is incomprehensible to most of us, there are still traces of the Mayans marked with their complex writing that dates from 300 BC to 100 AD. This civilization was found for their developed intelligence, with which they wrote thousands of books with complete words, syllables, and symbols, in a script known as hieroglyphs. This type of written language is presented in 2 columns, always from left to right and top to bottom. This is believed to be the most sophisticated system of its kind in Mesoamerica, with which the Mayans wrote about everything they saw or encountered. Number 2. They communicated with the spirits through rectal enemas. One of the ways used by the Mayans to achieve trance in their rituals, such as divination and communication with spirits, was through the use of rectal enemas with an intoxicating drink balch. However, this type of drink made from high-ERC honey compounds was not the only option for the Mayans to achieve spirituality more quickly and without vomiting. Hundreds of years later, scientific research proves that alcohol is effectively absorbed through a rectal enema. Number 3. They worshipped turkeys as gods. Turkeys were considered powerful and intrusive birds in Mayan culture, as evidenced by archaeology and iconography. They were seen as capable of causing harm to humans through nocturnal and dream space. Such flying animals were so revered that one Mayan ruler included the word turkey in his royal nickname. Furthermore, its importance was also expressed in various religious rituals, and its feathers and bones were used to make fans, tools, and musical instruments. Although they currently only inspire appetite, the turkeys that are prepared for Thanksgiving are descendants of these birds respected and feared by the Mayans. Number 4. They built the tallest pyramid in Mexico. Experts from Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History recently discovered a 1,700-year-old Mayan pyramid in the city of Tinina, in the state of Chiapas. Incredibly, an imposing 75-meter-tall structure had gone unnoticed in the eyes of science, thanks to a layer of vegetation that was thought to be just an insignificant natural hill. This work built by pre-Hispanic man is a unique building that brings together temples, palaces, and housing and administrative units, features unprecedented in any other archaeological zone in the Mayan world. The Pyramid of Tinina became the tallest in Mexico, surpassing the almost 265 meters in height of the Pyramid of the Sun. Number 5. The inscriptions were not just astronomical. A woman from the distant Republic of Russia made an astronomical discovery that changed archaeologists' conception of the inscriptions found on ancient Mayan monuments. When everyone believed that they contained exclusively calendar and astronomical information, architect Tatiana Proskuryakov revealed that they also contained records of characters and events in the lives of the Mayans. This and other radiation were published in a 1960 paper titled Historical Implications of a Data Pattern at Piedras Negras, Guatemala, a finding that Mayan scholar Ian Graham described as liberating. The work of this pioneer of Mayan archaeology served as the basis for numerous archaeologists' research into the life and histories of this remote Central American civilization. Number 6. They elongated the heads of newborns. The ancient peoples of the Americas practiced cranial lengthening as a mark of social status, and the Mayans were no exception. However, This practice was not carried out with just any child, but exclusively with the heads of higher-ranking children, such as priests and nobles. To do this, the newborn's head was placed between two boards that applied pressure for several days, creating an elongated skull, but perfect for the Mayan stereotype. Number 7. Fabio, Eloy, and Humberto are Mayan names. The Mayans had the custom of naming their children according to the day they were born, an interesting and effective way to avoid endless questions between father and mother about the child's name. In the Mayan calendar, there is a boy or girl's name for each day. For example, Fabio means bean farmer, Eloy is an outstanding warrior, and Humberto means great, intelligent, and brilliant. Number 8. They had very different concepts of beauty. The Mayans found many ways to differentiate themselves. They believed that crossed and displaced eyes were beautiful, and so they forced nature so that their babies acquired this characteristic. To do this, they hung a stone between the baby's eyes, hoping that it would change his appearance. Furthermore, the Mayans preferred pointed teeth, a feature they considered beautiful. They sharpened their teeth and adorned them with precious stones, such as jade or turquoise. These differences were considered a form of cultural expression and were important to the identity of the Maya. Number 9. They lived in hot lands. When heating the soil where the ancient Mayans built their cities in Guatemala, it becomes clear that the soil is volcanic, as a chain of volcanoes crosses the country and several of them remain active. The tourist-friendly city of Antigua, Guatemala can often see the volcano of fire spewing columns of smoke or hurling burning vines from the water, especially vivid at night. Not far from Antigua is the Pacaya volcano, which has been continuously erupting for years. Number 10. Drought and wars ended them. After years of investigation, experts conclude that the fall of this admirable civilization was not caused by a single factor, but rather by a combination of prolonged drought, internal conflicts, and overpopulation. It is known that Mayan cities were devastated by a period of 95 years of drought, around the year 820 after Christ, some with a dramatic extension of decades. The immediate consequence was an increasingly desperate lack of food, as food reserves dwindled. Competition for the possession of resources became so intense that it irreparably fractured the Mayan civilization. Number 11. There are more Mayan places to discover. While the Mayan cities discovered are fascinating, they are not the only ones built by the incredible men and women of that time. It is known that there are more remains of these cities still buried under earth and rocks accumulated over hundreds of years. Researchers have now discovered that near the ancient Mayan citadel of Tikal, in the tropical forests of northern Guatemala, there are thousands of buildings hidden beneath mounds of earth, including tombs, palaces, and pyramids. There are still many others to be identified and excavated by archaeologists. Number 12. They sacrificed children in favor of the rain. The Mayans were very superstitious about rain, like most ancient civilizations, and offered sacrifices to the god Chuk. They painted the person to be sacrificed blue, especially children, in the hope that this deity would bless the region with abundant rain to grow corn. The Mayans threw children into a wide, deep natural sinkhole called a sacred cenote. Archaeologist Guillermo de Anda, from the University of Yucatan, reconstructed the bones of 127 bodies discovered at the bottom of one of these caves in Chichen Itza, and discovered something shocking. More than 80% were probably children between 3 and 11 years old. Number 13. They were ahead of the Romans in using SAUNAS. When writing and leaving to posterity their inventors, the Mayans were also known for enjoying SAUNAS. In ancient Mayan cities, stone saunas and others built with adobe clay have been found and are believed to have been used for spiritual and health purposes. To create steam, these intelligent beings combined water with fire-heated rocks, to which they often added the bounty of saco leaves. The first known steam bath was discovered at a pre-Columbian Mayan site in northern Belize, 3,000 years old, predating the famous steam baths of the Roman civilization. Number 14. They have perfected cocoa processing. Although scientific evidence suggests that the Olmecs of Mesoamerica were the first to consume chocolate, researchers agree that it was the Mayans who turned its processing into a remarkable achievement. Archaeological evidence suggests that this cultivated culture processed cocoa at least 2,600 years ago and considered it an important beverage in celebrations and rituals. However, its flavor and texture do not resemble the chocolate bars that have been produced in the United States since 1894 and that we consume today. The Mayans invented a frothy and spicy drink of cocoa, water, honey, peppers, and corn flour, as well as other ingredients, a drink rich in antioxidants, capsaicin, and proteins. Number 15. They wrote books, which were burned. The cultural richness of the Mayans, expressed in their complex books with hieroglyphic writing, was erased by the Spanish conquerors in great bonfires. Although men and women of this civilization wrote on sturdy strips of paper made from the inner bark of fig trees, they could not survive the arrogance of Europeans who burned everything that looked like superstition. Only 3 codes survive: that of Paris, that of Madrid, and that of Dresden, the latter containing astronomical tables of surprising precision. The Spanish Franciscan friar Diego Hollands, who arrived in Yucatan in the 1540s, could not ignore in his records the Mayans' discontent with the destruction of their books. His lament and pain were impressive. Number 16. They had a game very similar to basketball. The Mayans dedicated their hours to sporting activities, the most famous being the game of pelota, an almost sacred activity that resembles modern basketball. The objective was to pass a rubber ball weighing about 3 kilograms and 25 centimeters in diameter through a stone hole at a height of 6 meters. Without using your hands, only elbows, ribs, and hips were allowed. The ball represented the sun and the defeated enemy, while the stone ring represented the rising and setting of the sun. The game symbolized a battle between day and night, between life and the underworld. Number 17. They did not predict the end of the world. Despite Hollywood's efforts, the Mayans did not predict the end of the world on their calendar. In fact, on December 21, 2012, the end of a complete cycle of 5,125 years occurred in the so-called Mayan long count calendar, one of the first to use 0 as a placeholder. Furthermore, the Mayans had several calendars, one of which was the 260-day calendar, known as Tzolk'in, used to celebrate religious ceremonies. Number 18. There are rivers that close you to them. In addition to being ideal for a boat trip or rafting trip, Guatemala's Cajaben River also brings you closer to Mayan history through the local descendants who live along its banks. This contact helps to better understand the ancient culture and strengthen the relationship between these men and women with people from other traditions. Number 19. They did not use metal tools. Mayan architects used local materials such as limestone, sandstone, and volcanic toba to build their temples, but they never used metal tools. Archaeologists refer to the Mayans as a Stone Age culture because they did not have access to metal tools, as this material was not found in their inhabited areas. However, with their creativity, they developed tools made from jadeite and obsidian. The first is harder than iron, and obsidian produces the sharpest blades in the world. Number 20. Mayan heritage is in danger. The pyramids of the great Mayan city of Xilton, located in the swampy jungle of northern Guatemala, are in danger from looters known as guerreros. These dishonest people are threatening the integrity of the region's antiquities. Almost all the pyramids in this vast area once had tunnels through which hieroglyphs, pottery, and tomb jade were extracted. These treasures are sold on the black market and probably already decorate the living rooms of respectable businessmen around the world. Number 21. Its pyramids reflect astronomical events. It is known that the Mayans were pioneers in astronomy, but few know that some of their mini pyramids, such as the Castillo at Chichen Itza, reflect astronomical events. The serpent, an undulating shadow that appears during the equinoxes, slides along the northern staircase of this temple due to the angle of the sun that falls on its 9 main terraces. In Chichen Itza, we also find the caracol, known as an observatory, which is linked to the orbit of Venus. The caracol's front staircase points to the northernmost position of this planet, and the corners of the building align with the position of the sun at dawn on the summer solstice and dusk on the winter solstice. Number 22. They were advanced in medicine. Advances in medicine. If they learned to write and build complex cities, it's no surprise that the Mayans also pioneered healing methods that combined religion and science. The priests, who received education, treated the people's wounds with human hair and were advanced dental surgeons. If the patient could afford it, false teeth were made of jade and turquoise. The Mayans used steam baths to expel poison from snake bites, sweat, and treat illnesses such as rheumatism, fevers, and fatigue after battles. Number 23. They ate human bodies. In addition to throwing children into cenotes as part of sacred ceremonies, the Mayans practiced other detestable human sacrifices, such as removing hearts, shedding blood, and possibly cannibalism. It is believed that, after having their heads torn off, the bodies were given to nobles and other distinguished members of the community to, according to the 16th century, cook their parts in large leaves. Archaeologists have identified telltale marks of cannibalism on the bones of human remains at Aztec sites around Mexico City. Number 24. First to use 0 as a marker. Although 0 as a position marker may have originated in Babylon, the Mayans were the first to use it in this way. In the 4th century, they were already using it independently, as evidenced in the remarkable long count calendar. 0 in Mayan writing was often represented by a shell-shaped glyph. The Mayan number system is based on factors of 20, so Mayan numbers are made up of units of 1, 20, 400, etc. Number 25. The Mayas are still among us. We do not see them in the pyramids or sacrificing children, but although the great Mayan cities are now inescapable relics, their descendants live among us. 40% of the Guatemalan population are Mayans, that is, more than 5.6 million people, while many thousands more are in the Mexican states of Campeche, Yucatan, and Quintana Roo. The Mayan language is spoken by 800,000 people and is considered the second most important indigenous language in Mexico, after Nahuatl. The ancients may miss the development of astronomy, hieroglyphic writing, and the various calendar systems. They also stand out historically for their very elaborate ceremonial architecture, such as pyramids, temples, and observatories. What makes his architectural work even more admirable is that all of his structures were built without the use of metal tools. Without a doubt, delving into this rich culture awakens more fascination with each discovery. What did you think of today's video? Did you already know any of these Mayan curiosities? Let us know your thoughts on this topic, as we would love to respond to your comments below. And if you liked this video and haven't subscribed to our channel yet, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any of the intriguing videos we post every week. And if you want to take advantage and learn a little more, be sure to click on one of these videos that we are suggesting for you. Remember, a people who do not know their history are condemned to repeat it. Until the next video.